let us know when it started.
Okay.
Good morning all. I can now confirm that it is 10 o'clock on Tuesday the 30th November 2021 and we are now ready to start the meeting.
Good morning everybody and welcome to the Licensing Subcommittee of the 30th of November 2021. I would like to advise that this is a live virtual meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee and today we will be using Teams to provide a live stream to members of the public via the Council's YouTube channel. Please can we ask you that you bear with us as we are dealing with numerous internet connections and sometimes this can cause a slight delay.
Thank you, Chairman. During the meeting, all participants except for the Chairman will be muted and this should remain during the whole of the meeting unless you have asked to speak. May I take this opportunity to remind you that should you wish to speak during the meeting, use the raise hand button which can be found at the bottom of the participant screen. The Chairman will then be notified of your request. When speaking, if we could ask you to unmute yourself to speak and then mute yourself once you have spoken. If we have to adjourn the meeting, the Chairman will advise of this and the anticipated length of the adjournment. Those that have made the licensing officer aware that they would like to speak at today's meeting will be called forward to speak at the appropriate time. Please can we ask you to speak loudly and clearly. Once members have completed the process of hearing all representations, they will then move into a confidential debating session. The decision will then be heard in public via a further Teams meeting. This decision meeting will be available for viewing from 12:30. Chairman, we will now complete a roll call of members present. Councillor Graham Carpenter.
Yeah, present.
Councillor Hanton.
Present, sorry.
Councillor Wainwright.
Present.
We also have Elaine Hignett, Licensing Officer, David Lowens, Solicitor, and myself, Christina Webb, Executive Services Officer. We also have Hardish speaking on behalf of the applicant and Store Manager Mark Waddell speaking on behalf of the application. Thank you, Chairman. We can now start the agenda items.
Yes, thank you, Christina. Firstly, item 1 would be apologies for absence.
There are no apologies, Chair.
Thank you. Item number 2, are there any declarations of interest?
No hands raised, Chair, so none.
Lovely, thank you. Then quickly on to item number 3, which is the application for a new premises licence. The committee are asked to consider an application for a new premises licence under the Licensing Act 2003 in relation to Tesco Stores Limited, 87 Lowestoft Road, Galston. I'll now hand over to the Licensing Officer, Elaine Hignett, to present.
Thank you, Chair. This is an application for a new premises licence submitted by Tesco Stores Limited in respect of a premise known as Tesco Stores Limited, 87 Lowestoft Road, Galston, Great Yarmouth. The premise is described as a retail premises or supermarket selling a range of goods and services. The application proposed the following licensable activities and timings. Sale of alcohol off the premises 6 AM to midnight each day. Late night refreshment indoors 11 PM to midnight each day. The application can be found on pages 5 to 35 of the agenda. 4 representations objecting to the application were received. All 4 objections are from local residents and copies of the representations are shown on pages 37 to 44 of the agenda. The 4 objectors have advised me that they are unable to attend today's hearing. However, they have all requested that their written representations be taken into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Firstly, are there any questions from members for the Licensing Officer? I take that as a no.
Yeah, no, not for me.
Okay, okay. Now I'd like to invite Hardish to give evidence, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for hearing this application, which is on site of a former pub, the Albion. So I'll tell you a little bit about Tesco. So we operate 2,800 stores across the UK and employ about 300,000 colleagues. We've got two formats. So we have the large format, which is our superstores and the extras that you see, and then we have our convenience format. And this premises will be a part of the convenience format, which is mainly convenience shopping. It's there to kind of top up your shops, and we've got a very limited range and a very targeted range, which will be for the local neighbourhood area. The alcohol will be quite a small, I think, like you see in our larger shops. We will employ about 20 colleagues in the store, as well as 3 managers, and it'll be made of full-time and part-time team members. There'll be roles for the community, so we have a system where the local people will be given preference rather than people that are further away. The recruitment will start about 4 weeks before the store's due to open. Actually, and the store's not due to open till, at the moment, it's scheduled October, so around the autumn. I have Mark with me as well, who's been with Tesco since 1993. He's a very experienced store manager. He's not, because the store manager for this store won't have been appointed yet, he's not the store manager for this premises, but actually he's available if you have any questions that perhaps that I can't answer. Mark will be able to answer them. In terms of, we have a good neighbour policy, and we take pride in being a good neighbour. For in the Great Yarmouth constituency, we've been involved in 61 projects where £150,000 have been given through the community grants. And if I give you an example, we've had who's benefited from this. So we've had the Voice Cloud, the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, MenCap, Little Misfits, and Sea Change Arts, to kind of name a few. We've also donated over 207,000 meals through our community group. Locally, we would be happy to join any residents associations if there are any in that area, and we'll always be open to residents if there are any issues or any niggles that as a result of our operation on the premises. And the store manager is encouraged. One of our key performance indicators is community. So we are very, we want to listen to what's going on in the community and sort any issues out before they become bigger problems. There haven't been any issues raised by the police in this area. Normally the police would speak to me if they had any concerns about antisocial behaviour or there was a problem with this site in particular, not with the premises, but with this area. On a national level, we work very closely in terms of with other retailers as well in how we sell alcohol to make sure that we're selling alcohol responsibly. We have a retail alcohol standards group in which we look at best practice and share as an industry and how we sell alcohol responsibly. So things like Think 25 policy was encouraged. We encourage all retailers to take on Challenge 25. Community alcohol partnerships, which has been it's been very big in Great Yarmouth, and I can remember coming as a part of a community alcohol partnership board, coming up and doing a talk there. And that's where we encourage small independent retailers to be a part of the local programme as well. We work with the Portman Group and Drink Aware as well as working with the Home Office and the Department of Health in terms of how we sell alcohol responsibly. We also have a primary authority who will endorse all of our practices and procedures, and I speak to them all the time when any new things are coming on board, or if the business are thinking about doing new things. And just to talk a little bit about our training, we have the BII have signed up our training as what good looks like. every member of our team, when they start, as you would expect, would receive induction training, and then they would receive training on checkouts, then on the aisle as well as security training. Refresher training happens twice a year, and we focus a lot on theft as well. So we have what we call eyes wide open training, and that's focused on what our colleagues should look for when somebody's coming in with the intent of taking products rather than paying for them. Think 25 is also embedded firmly within our stores. We were the first operator to follow Think 25, and then moved on to Think 25 and led the industry to go that way as well. Think 25 is very much around stopping, assessing, then asking and checking ID. We only accept approved ID, so that would be the pass logo, passport, driving licence, and anything approved by the Home Office. We also train our cashiers in what to look for if somebody is trying to buy alcohol when they're already intoxicated, and the manager will always support them. And this is where some of the training, the conflict training, comes in, so that they can work with that customer, so not to make them angrier, because you don't know how people are going to react when they're drunk. We also train on proxy selling as well, so we ask our store managers to look out to see what's going on outside of the store, not just inside. So if there are young children hanging around outside and somebody's coming in to buy something, then we're very active in how we look out for that. And if there's groups of kids coming in, then we'll ID everybody within the group. They also do some training on responsible retailing, which focuses on the licensing objectives. I guess most important of all is that we empower our colleagues to make the right decisions, and we then support those decisions. So if our colleague refuses to sell alcohol to somebody because they believe they're under 25 or they're intoxicated, then our managers won't override those decisions, even if they believe it's something different. On our checkouts, there's also a checkout prompt. So when alcohol is scanned, the checkout will freeze, and there's a date of birth there. So when our cashiers are looking for ID, they know what date of birth to check it against, and then they then have to make a positive action on the checkout to say whether they're going to allow the alcohol to be sold or not. We also have team fives as well. So if I want to pass a message to every single colleague within our business, there's a process that I can send a message to stores, and then the store managers disseminate that message. In terms of security, this store will be linked to what we call the hub, which is it's a large office where people are just looking at CCTV. We'll also have that facility in store, so that doesn't get taken away. But if something happens in the store, there is somebody that can look at the camera straight away and call the police if necessary, if we're not able to do that. There's panic alarms in the stores as well. High value products will be tagged. Spirits are going to be behind the counter at the store, and all our team will have 3 body cams in the store as well, which our team will be wearing. There's also how we communicate very quickly to each other is that the team will have headsets as well, so they can talk to each other to pass messages on quite quickly to what's going on in the store. And also, if anything, a terrible, or there's something going on outside, our stores we'd just close our stores, because we do not want our teams endangered or our customers endangered. In terms of a central team, there's a licensing team that will support the store, as well as there's a security team as well. And we also, in terms of compliance, we will also do our Think 25 test, where we use an external auditor that they come in and test to see if they can buy alcohol without being challenged for ID. And if a store doesn't pass one of these tests, so they're over 18, then there's next steps and an investigation takes place to why they didn't pass. And also if they do pass and ID is checked, then there's a congratulations to the store to let them know that they were checked. So a tester would go in, try and buy alcohol, our cashier would ask for ID, the tester would say, I don't have any ID, and then it's whether that sale is then made as a result of that conversation. In terms of the range, we've got, like I said, we've got a very small range, a few mods, which are at the front of the store, near the checkout area of where alcohol will be. Any deliveries will be consolidated into the current deliveries already, so that we're not getting any extra deliveries as a result of being able to sell alcohol in the shop. Pricing is also nationally set, so we don't. The store manager wouldn't have any control on the price. And so sometimes when you see the newspaper adverts, it will say in the newspaper adverts that it excludes an express store. Just kind of moving on to the representations that we've received. So thank you for those representations. I just want to kind of deal with a few of them. There's a misconception in a couple of the representations that it's a 24-hour store, and I'm grateful for Elaine of kind of going back and just clarifying that it isn't. The application for a license is from 6 till midnight. It's not a 24-hour store, and there are some, as Mr. Joseph pointed out, there are some planning restrictions which have come out after this application was put in, which state that the hours that we can trade are 6 till 11 Monday to Saturday and 7 till 10 on a Sunday. So regardless of whatever hours are granted, we wouldn't be allowed to open the store beyond those hours anyway. So they're the hours that we would, I guess, be, if there are operating hours, they are the hours that we would be applying for. In terms of, there was another query around parking, and I know it's not a licensing matter, it's a planning matter, but I'd like to just reassure the residents that we've got 15 spaces, which is more than we would have in an express. But normally we'd probably be looking for about 10 spaces for a store this size, but we've got 15, so we're not anticipating any. Our customers should be able to find ample parking within our footprint. There was another comment about being allowed to park for 2 hours. This is an express, which means there's a usual 20-minute wait. So the signage that will go up will only allow customers to park for 20 minutes, not for 2 hours. In terms of noise as well, I just want to, we've got some under planning, we've got restrictions on deliveries as well. So deliveries should take place between 7 and 7 p.m. Monday to Friday, and then 8 till 2 on a Saturday and 9 till 2 on a Sunday. So again, that's gone through planning. So I guess I guess that's kind of given you a bit of an overview. As you are aware, the Section 182 guidance just says that there's not a presumption under the Act to restrict, and there should be good evidence if there are any restrictions that are going to be imposed, and we should be granted our opening hours unless there's good reason not to grant those. There's not been any police representation, and I guess appropriate weight should be given to that in line with the Section 182 guidance. And each application is granted on its merits. And again, competition around any other stores in the area shouldn't be a part of this application, or not take account what other businesses are doing in the area. And I'm sure that David will be able to give you any further advice on that. And I guess that's all I've got to say, really. unless there's any questions, then myself and Mark are available.
Yeah, thank you, Hardish, for that very comprehensive explanation. Councillor Hanton, I believe you have a question.
Yes, can you just clarify that this application has been amended to coincide with the hours that the premise can lawfully open, as opposed to the hours that are currently on the application form?
Yeah, I'm happy to amend it to those hours.
Thank you.
You beat me to that one, Councillor Hanton.
Of course.
Are there any more questions for Hardish from members? Just one question from me, Hardish. It's an obvious one and something that people have alluded to in their objections. Is there a restaurant within this Tesco's?
No, absolutely not. And actually, with the amended hours, there's no requirement for the late night catering. And let me explain that. So we have in our stores, we have a Costa machine. And legislation, the way it's written, had that been a machine where you can go in and put your money in, and it was then classed as a vending machine, then we wouldn't be looking at applying for that extra hour, because we would be selling hot drinks. But because you have to go to the checkout to pay for your coffee and then go and get your coffee, we then need this late night hours license between 11 and midnight. But it won't apply if we're not looking to sell kebabs or sell food or anything. It's just it's a normal Tesco with a Costa coffee machine.
Okay, yeah, so it's just to mop up after the 11 o'clock closing to make sure that you comply. Yes, I understand that. Thank you. Are there any further questions for Hardish?
Is that from councillors or from anyone, Chair?
I think from everyone now. I think the councillors have finished by all means.
I'm grateful. Just to confirm, as at the moment, the operating schedule is a little bit vague in parts. As you were speaking, I was making notes of what I think are being offered as amendments to the operating schedule and thus conditions if you're successful. So if I could just list them, and if you could say whether I'm right or not in what I believe to be the case. So firstly, Challenge 25 is used, and the acceptable IDs for that are any ID as approved by the Home Office. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you. Training will be given on proxy selling. Sorry, training will be given to staff on proxy selling.
Yeah.
Thank you. Groups of youths will be, all members in a group of youths will be ID'd.
Yeah, that's right. Although it's quite rare to get that as a condition on a license, but the thing that I can offer is that, along with our Challenge 25 policy, that we will train our teams, we'll train our colleagues to look out for proxy sales.
Yes, I think we've done the proxy selling bit, and obviously I don't want to push you on anything that on balance you're not happy to have written down, but you did mention that groups of youths, you would ID all of them, so I couldn't tell whether that is an intended operating schedule condition or not, if you could help with that.
No, it's not.
Right, okay, thank you. The next one I have is that spirits will be kept behind the counter in the store.
Yeah, that's right. Although would there be an issue if we did have spirits on the shop floor?
Don't know. This point, I'm just trying to work out what's an offered condition as opposed to, as it were, a desire of how you may wish to work in certain circumstances.
I guess with that, because the business, I'm trying to future-proof conditions as well. So the business does tend to change. So sometimes we will be like, I guess at Christmas, or other times we might be looking at putting some products, especially gift packs and things. But there might be a decision in the future that the business wants to move spirits onto the shop floor. So if that's at the moment as it stands, that's where I've seen the plan, and the plan is to put it behind. So I wouldn't want to offer that as a condition unless there were particular concerns, and the police haven't raised any concerns around it with me.
Thank you. I've deleted that from the offered conditions. 3 times body cam and headsets in the store to be used by staff.
Yes. Could we not put a number on it? So if one is faulty, then
yes, of course. So body cam bracket S and headset bracket S to be used in the store by staff. Signage will allow customers a maximum of 20 minutes wait. Actually, that just says signage. So customers to be allowed a maximum of 20 minutes parking.
I think again, if we can we'll put the signage up to demonstrate that. But obviously, the store manager will keep a lookout, and then it's enforced by our an external company. But I mean, the condition could be that we'll put signage up to inform customers they can only park for 20 minutes.
Right. Signage will state customers have a maximum of 20 minutes parking. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
Do you have a no return within X time?
I don't think we do, Mark. Do you know whether we have that on the signage? I don't think I remember.
No, that's not on the signage normally.
Yep. And you mentioned deliveries quite quickly, so I hopefully got this right. Deliveries, and I don't know whether you say will only take place or will hopefully take place. I don't know how definite you want to be, but I had weekdays 7 to 7, Saturdays I think it was 8 to 2, Sundays it was 9 to 2.
Yeah, that's right. Do we need that as a condition? Because that's obviously covered by other legislation and the Section 182 guidance.
Oh, it's back on. I'm just trying to work out what's an change to your operating schedule as written. As at the moment, it's quite vague. So it's not a question of need. I'm just wondering, for the benefit of the councillors, whether it is offered by you.
Excuse me, I thought I mean, that was a planning condition anyway. I mean, that's part of the planning, the delivery. So, I mean, they're not just going to have loads of Jack Daniels turn up on a lorry, I wouldn't have thought. So, you know, that's part of the planning application, and that's been agreed.
Yep. We're just working out what's on the operating schedule at the moment, councillor. I can happily take that off.
Well, it's already been agreed at planning, so I can't see why it should be on the operating schedule for the licensing activity.
I think
Right.
I think the license application and the planning application have got to be considered separately.
That's it, Chairman.
So really, it needs to be on this license, this application.
Well, I mean, it doesn't need to be, but your local guidance says that para 10.4, I think it is, there'll be a clear separation of the planning and licensing regimes.
Yeah.
And as the operating schedule started off a bit vague, all I'm doing at the moment is making sure you know the precise offers from this applicant. So it may be something that you don't add to or say you don't need, but at the moment I'm trying to work out what is the intended operating schedule.
Okay, carry on. Oh, sorry, Hadish, you wanted to say something?
I was just going to say, I mean, that's under planning, so we would stick to that anyway. And whether it's a need to go on to our operating schedule or as a condition on the license, I guess that's for you guys to decide. But generally,
am I right in thinking it's not offered?
No, because it's under planning.
Yeah. So at the moment, oh, I'm sorry. And you also amended the application. And as I don't have the planning permission in front of me, am I right in thinking the closing hour for the intended licensable activity of sale of retail alcohol off only is 2300 on all days?
Yes, except Sunday. So Sunday is 7 till 10 p.m.
So 6 to 2300, Monday to Saturday, Sunday 7
till 10
to 2200. Lovely. And the application's amended to fall back within those hours.
David, there's 7 till 22 also covers bank holidays and public holidays and
Lovely, thank you. So 6 to 2300 Monday to Saturday, Sunday 7 to 2300, bank holidays 7 to 2200 as well.
Yeah, that's what I saw on the application.
Right, and is that is the application amended in accordance with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's lovely, thank you. So we got those changes in hours, and the remaining operating schedule changes I've got are Challenge 25, approved ID means approved by the Home Office, training given on proxy selling, a body cam or body cams, a headset or headsets in the store to be used by staff. Signage will state customers have a maximum of 20 minutes parking. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Sorry to get in the way, as it were, but it was useful to work out what's in front of you at the moment.
No, not at all. It's good to be accurate. Thank you. Are there any further questions for Hadish from members or persons making representations at all? Christina, I take it there are no hands. I can't see any. You're on mute, Christina. Ah.
Apologies, Chairman. Christina was just thrown out of the meeting. I can't see any more hands raised, so there's no further questions.
There's no hands up.
Thank you, Sammy. Much obliged. I'd now like to invite the store manager, Mark Waddell, to give any evidence he wishes to.
Hello, sorry, having trouble with mute there. I don't really have anything other than Hadish has sort of done a great job in covering it all. Just re-emphasise, I think, that how important the Think 25 is to us. That is, you know, as a store manager, that's one of the most important things we have anything to do with. But yeah, and unless you've got any direct questions about how the shop might run, I'm happy to go with what Hadish said.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Well, I have no further questions, but does anybody else have a question?
Well, not a question, only a statement, really. I mean, I've used the Tesco Express in Bradwell, I've used the one in Belton, and I think the way that they cover themselves is excellent. And, you know, yeah, an excellent run organisation, basically. And the Challenge 25, it always happens. But, I wish it happened to me, and then I'd look a bit younger. But it works extremely well.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Wainwright. Councillor Hanson.
I was just going to mention that in the application says CCTV images are being retained for 31 days. Is it implicit that they will be handed over to the police upon request?
Yeah. Do you want me to answer that? Yes, it will be. So we're up and down the country. You know, police go in, ask for CCTV footage, and that's fine. We'll hand it over to them.
Thank you.
Chairman, arising from that is the question of the licensing authority also receiving it.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions for Mark?
Not from me.
Not from me, no.
No, I have no further questions. So basically, we come to the end of this first session. I now confirm we will now move to the closing statements, and I can confirm there will be no further questions asked at this point. So Hadish, do you want to make any closing statements?
I think I gave quite a thorough overview earlier. So all I would say is that we are an excellent operator and work very well within communities. There's been no objections from the police, and I hope that you will grant this licence. Thank you.
Thank you, Hadish. Mark, anything from yourself?
No, I just wanted to, Councillor Wainwright talked about the Bradwell. One of the reasons I'm on here is because I ran the Bradwell one and I've looked after the Belton one, and this shop will be in exactly the same as those two shops are run. So hopefully that gives you some confirmation about how it's going to be.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. Right, thank you to all. We will now close this meeting and move to the debating session for members, and a further Teams meeting will be convened. Now, we are finished quite early, and it's not to be convened till 12:30 on paper, but what's the time now? It's 25 to 11. Can we say 11:15 to reconvene?
Yeah,
Does that suit everybody?
yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, and for those looking on the live screen, yes, the next session that's open to the public will be at 11:15 and not 12:30. Thank you.
Members, if I could